Scott Talley here from the worldwide headquarters in Houston, Texas, with Miss Julie Rowland, franchise owner in Cincinnati, Ohio. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Scott.
Good to see you.
It's good to be seen. Maybe I should say it that way.
Yeah, especially in light of your life the last year, but we'll get into that a little bit. Julie, just start in your own words. Talk to me a little bit about your past, your history, what brought you to Network in Action. You know, you were a business coach or still are a business coach. Talk a little bit about that.
I own my own independent business coaching and had tried various networking groups. And as a business coach, we're not the group that you wake up and my roof is leaking and I decide I need a roof. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to hire a business coach today without ever thinking about it. You have to have a lot of in-depth discussions with them before they'll open their books and everything to you. So I found the other networking groups just weren't working for me because they weren't at that deep level. And I figured there had to be something better. Had rotator cuff surgery, laid up for 3.5 months like this. And I started researching different networking groups and I came upon Network in Action and I thought, well, can it really work like it says it does? So then then COVID hit and all of the members' meetings had to go virtual. So I did what I called creeped in on the meetings. I talked to various franchise owners and asked them, you know, if I could sit in on their meeting. And then I looked for the person that was the most disinterested in the meeting. And I started a chat with them because I thought they would give me the truth. And I talked to a bunch of members. And even though, yeah, there were 1 or 2 things that they didn't like, it was usually leader driven, but not the group itself or the way it worked. So I just spent months doing my due diligence and then jumped in. After about 9 months of that, I jumped in and had my first conversation with you.
That is so funny. That is so business coachy of you, the way you went at it. I had not heard that story. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I say I creeped in on the other members, but I did. And all of them, I would start in a little chat. Hey, here's my email. I'm thinking of doing this. Can I have 15 minutes of your time? And there were some that, you know, just sugarcoated it, made it sound like this was the best thing since sliced bread. But most of them were very honest about
That's
what
awesome.
brought them to there. And, you know, I wanted to know about the return of investment, the ROI. So that's how I came here.
That's really cool. I learned something every day. So what would you say just in life, and I know it's probably, again, been in transition the last year, but the proverbial, what is your why?
What is my why? You know, I have this written down for my business, but my why is to help as many business owners. What I have BHAGs, you know, and one of my BHAGs is to help 500 business owners grow their business. And if I am successful in doing that, then I will be able to move and live closer to my children and be the grandmother and support them the best I can. So I want to help these small business owners because I know if I help that many financially, I will be able to relocate to be able to live the life I want with my children.
That's awesome. And your coaching practice that you were doing full time before Network in Action was really, it sort of fits in, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You know, I do a lot of one-to-one. I always tell people I do coaching one of 3 ways. I do one-to-one coaching. That's the most expensive and that's the one that pays the bills. And then I do I call it the board of directors, which I guess will be close to crowd coaching. But I have 10 business owners come together. They throw their problems on the table and we spend 2.5 hours once a month hashing them out. And then I have an online program. So I do one of 3, but I do the one-to-one coaching so that I can do the other ones that I love because they're not as financially beneficial for me.
Yeah, I love it. What a plan. What do you think is the future of networking? You mentioned the online coaching. I mean, you know, one of the only good things that came out of COVID probably was Zoom.
Yeah. I still am one that I believe in face-to-face. I just do. I get during COVID and the Zoom meetings, I was able to help my clients, but not nearly as much, in my opinion, as doing the face-to-face. And the face-to-face networking, I don't think I don't think you can be as effective as you can. That's just my opinion. So
Yeah.
I see networking, and what I liked most about Network in Action, well, there were a lot of things, but the fact that they're longer meetings, you allow people to really get to know each other much better than doing the same thing 1 hour a week. Or, there's a group here that they have meetings all over the city, and you can attend any meeting, and that's great if you're transactional. That's not great if you're a relationship business.
Yes.
And I'm a relationship. So those types of things don't work for me. I need to be in the trenches and getting to know the people and who they know. Wow. So
Yeah, really good point. What would you say to a business owner that's thinking about networking and maybe hasn't had the experience you have with networking? Why is it important to their business?
well, too often people think of networking as they look at a group of people and say, they would never use my product. They would never use my product. And when I talk about networking, I say, you have to network through the group, and you have to find, people that belong to chambers. And I love chambers. I belong to the local chamber here. But I said, when you go to a meeting, you have to go prepared. You have to find 2 or 3 people that you want to connect with, that you think you can help, and that maybe then they can help you. It's a reciprocal thing, but it's not a thing. Networking isn't a thing where you say, hi, I'm Julie Rowland. I'm a business coach. Here's my card. Hi, I'm Julie Rowland. You've got to find 2 or 3 people that you really want to connect deep with and seek them out. That's the purpose of networking, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very different. So we all know, the 6 basic differences, and there's probably 20 more that Network in Action brings to the industry. Taking one of those, or 2 or 3, what would be the ones that you think are difference makers for the business owners in your group?
I would say, honestly, it's the time commitment. I find that my members do many more one-to-ones and many more follow-ups with the group than, because we're only truly meeting once a week or once a month. And so that gives them those other times that they would be traveling to and from meetings to delve down and get to know the members more. So I would say it's the time, the fact that that's probably the biggest. Now I do run, and I don't even know if you know this, when I started, we had to have 2 meetings. One was a social. I do a lunch and learn, and it's 100% led by a member. They do the hour, and that gives us an in-depth study into their business, and they provide the lunch for the group. And I have just as good of attendance as those as I do at my regular meeting.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So let's talk about that. You own a franchise and you follow the franchise model, but you have some freedom within there to bring your experience to the table. Talk about that a minute. As an entrepreneur, when you're all of a sudden a part of a bigger group, but yet you get some freedom.
Well, I mean, it works well for me as a business coach because I have that background. So I take your agendas, I tweak them a little bit. I put my personality into it. I put the personality of the group into it because my group is unique, so not everything works. So it's nice that we have that format from which to live in, but that we do have some latitude with what we can do, because we are all different, and so as a business coach, I found it a perfect fit because a lot of it is what I already do.
Yeah, no doubt. And that brings added value to the group for sure. So a lot of times during these interviews, we've been talking about an NIA member success story, but I want to change that question a little bit without going into great detail or whatever detail you want. You've had some enormous health challenges over the last 6 or 8 months, really last year and a half. We laughed about it a year and a half ago, and all of a sudden it became not so funny. Mm-hmm. But these health challenges, through your ability to run your group into disarray, tell me how the group stepped up and what happened in Cincinnati under your leadership.
Well, not only was it my health issues, but my mother also was very ill and ended up passing away in the middle of mine. So my ability to attend the meetings, to get things ready, just went down the tubes. It just was not, I was not able to keep up with it. And so I had 3 of my members that stepped up, and they took on finding the venues. They took on sending out the emails. They took on finding, for our lunch and learns, who was going to lead that meeting. They made sure, I gave them a credit card. They made sure the bills were paid, and really did stuff because they were afraid. And to be honest, I did have 2 members during that time quit because they just felt like that, if I wasn't going to be there, they just thought, what's the use? But I'll tell you, these 3 members really stepped up and did much more than I did, and actually helped find some new members to replace, the one chair that left. They immediately found someone to replace him so that I didn't lose that income. And then the second one that left, I have a person come into this meeting that hopefully will take over that seat. So they valued the group that much that when I put out the email that said, I'm not going to be able to attend these meetings, I'm going to be hospitalized, these treatments are going to go on, they did not want the group to fall apart. And so these 3 stepped up and just took it over for months for me. And,
it's just like, I can't imagine what I'm feeling right now, but after 8 years of watching this community grow nationwide and now into South America, there's not a better story for me about how when you really build community, it doesn't become about necessarily me or you. And this is just a textbook that they saw that they had something valuable for each other, and they loved you, and they wanted it to continue, and they weren't about to let it dissolve, which it easily could have. Obviously,
it very easily could have.
There's more networking groups that had dissolved over the last 38 years than are out there today. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And yet, because of your leadership, you were able to build this community. And the end happened wasn't what was in mind, but it happened because of the quality of the leadership and the group. So I just really think that's just the best story of all.
Yeah. And I have one of my members' wife is also struggling with cancer, and he sent me a note, and he put at the end of it here, he says, the best we can do for each other in this world where people often only care for themselves is care for each other. That's why this group you've put together is so special. I truly feel each person cares for me. You are a great leader and facilitator. I appreciate you. All my Christian love. And I thought there's not a better testimonial than Andy. While he's going through similar, he and his family are going through similar to me, he takes the time to let me know how much he appreciates the group. Wow. So.
And I'm sure that's because of the feedback the group's given. That's awesome. That is so awesome. What would you say to somebody who's looking to buy a franchise, a network connection franchise?
I've been looking for people to talk to get to
call you, right? To call you.
I want more people here in Cincinnati so that we can blend, because I spend so much time having to explain what it is because it's just not known here in Ohio like it is. But I would tell them start visiting, do what I do, visit the groups, chat with people. It's not as easy sometimes, Scott, as you made it sound at the beginning. You do have to put a lot of effort into it, but it is my main meeting is my favorite 2 hours of my month.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love those meetings, and my people love the meetings. And, it's so different than the way they're normally networked that, start out. I don't know if you can still start out with one group like I did. I don't know what the rules are now, but,
well, we certainly start off building one group either way. So I think that's what you were going to say, is get your group firmly entrenched. Yeah. So here's hoping for a greater 2023, and hopefully all the adversity that was in 2022 is behind you. You deserve it. And I know you're looking forward to starting your crowd coach group and continuing to build your groups and your community. So I just want to applaud you for what you've been able to accomplish under incredibly dire circumstances. Is there anything you would do different if you know what you knew now?
Yeah, I would follow the steps that are laid
Wow.
out there. I
Music
was
to my ears.
I was a rebel, I will admit. I hate the phone. I absolutely hate the phone. And I did everything I could to avoid the phone. And I wouldn't do that again. If I start a second, not crowd coaching, but a second NIA group, I will definitely go back to and follow the steps.
You know, it's funny, since you trained a couple years ago, we certainly have evolved. We train 5 different ways to build groups now, but when you trained, we just trained on the phone because that's what everyone was
Yeah.
doing. But now, you can just constantly hold launch and learns and have success. You can go to networking meetings and follow our strategy and come away with appointments. And obviously you can use technology with LinkedIn, but yeah, we've grown, we've grown, thank God, as well as you have. So thank you for
My biggest concern with doing the lunch and learns or launch and learns and those things were, I never knew how I was going to feel. And I never wanted to plan on something and then have to cancel it and have that look negatively on NIA, that, oh, this wasn't followed through with. So I'm hoping that by February or March at the latest that I can pick those back up because I'll be.
Yeah. They do work. That's a good point. Well, I hope that tells the audience a little bit about the flexibility that even though in spite of this, major curveball has been thrown to you, you've been able to juggle and move and balance and find a way to try to get yourself well as keep this business alive.
I'm trying.
You're doing it. Thanks so much for today, Julie. Thanks for joining us, and continued prayers for your good health.
Thank you.